Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Monday, March the 25th, 2019, 5:16 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So I'm going to have to cut this short tonight. We're only going to cover earthquakes. I've got to just cut it short. Sometimes I just have to do that. So, what we have here is USGS, all magnitudes from the last 24 hours. And we've got 226 earthquakes on the map for the last 24 hours. And of those, we have 28 that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So let's scroll down and see if any of these are about to come off the map. We've got this one. I might have covered this. There might be a little overlap from yesterday. So we're going to start with this 4.4 magnitude off the southern coast of Kamchatka, Russia, near Severokurilsk. This happened at 5:23 yesterday afternoon, 47 kilometers deep, right on that red line. There was a 2.7 in Puerto Rico, Isabela, Puerto Rico. Let's look at Puerto Rico. And well, let's just go ahead and look at Dominican Republic with all magnitudes. It's really gone down. It's really calmed down a lot. They're only showing 7 today. So I'll go ahead and call them off. A 2.7, 1.9, 1.9, 2.7, 1.9, 1.6, and 1.8. So most of them were clustered on this southwest corner, but they weren't big enough to cause any damage. It's just showing that it's active there, and we have movement. Okay, now let's start with South America since we're here. So we've got a 4.4 near Palora, Ecuador, that happened at 7:03 this morning, 141 kilometers deep. It was right on the Ecuador-Peru border, it looks like. Then a 5.2 near Tocopilla, Chile, at 3:52 this morning, 72 kilometers deep. It was on, looks like it's on land, barely, right on the coastline there. And that would be big enough to do damage if it was in a populated area. Here's a 4.1 near Loncoche, Chile, at 9:32 this morning, 95 kilometers deep. Next, coming around this ring of fire in the South Pacific, we've got this 4.8 near L'Esperance, New Zealand, at 10:55 this morning. And then a little bit further north is a 4.5 south of the Fiji Islands at 5:49 this morning. Very deep, 504 kilometers deep. And remember, the deep ones are what make the tectonic plates move around the planet. Then we've got a 4.5 near Nisano Dua, Indonesia, at 6:13 last night, 82 kilometers deep. Next is one off the coast of Sumatra, a 4.8 near Kurapan, Indonesia, at 11:05 last night, 16 kilometers deep. Coming on up to the Philippines, we're showing it's on land, it looks like, just on the coast there. A 4.6 near San Isidro, Philippines at 7:53 last night. Now coming on up to oh, look at this. This is close to Fukushima. Look at that. That's not very far. Let me see something here. That's less than 30 miles from Fukushima. It was a 4.6 near Motomiya, Japan at 11:30 this morning, 102 kilometers deep. That probably didn't cause any damage, but that's just getting a little bit too close for comfort in my book. We saw that one. Next, coming on around, there was a 4.6. It was actually in Burma. They're calling it near Nansen, China at 1:04 this afternoon. And a 4.6 near Churachandpur, India at 5:41 this morning. Moving on around, 4.9 near Musa Kel Bazar, Pakistan at 4:25 this morning. Oh, and there's no new methane data on CAMS. In case anybody's wondering, they still have last Monday up, so it's a week old. And a 4.0 near Latakia, Greece at 6 o'clock this morning. So that's all of the international earthquakes. Now we're going to zip down to Hawaii real quick. And we've got 5 on the map here. We've got a 2.1 at 0 kilometers depth. That's at Kilauea. 2.3 up here at Mauna Kea. 1.9, 1.8, and 1.8 back at Kilauea. So that's calmed down, but it's still showing movement. Now up in Alaska, let's see what's going on. We've got 66 on the map here today. Of those, let's see how many are 2.5 magnitude. We'll start with those. We've got 9 that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. Starting down here, 2.5 near Gustavus, Alaska at 2:52 this morning. 3.4 near Kodiak at 1:38 this afternoon. 2.5 near Kodiak at 10:46 this morning. 3.3 near Chirikoff Island at 9:28 this morning. 2.5 near Valdez, 4:35 this morning. 3.3 near Anchorage at 10:58 last night. And a 3.1 near Nikiski at 3:04 this afternoon. 2.8 near Talkeetna at 8 o'clock this morning. And a 2.5 near Kobuk at 5:25 this morning. This one is at 0 kilometers depth. And this one at Gustavus was at 0 kilometers depth as well. So right at the surface. It was just, those are right at the surface, literally. So we got that. That's a 2.5, 3.3. We got those. Here at this Cook Inlet Here's a 1.8, 2.0 near Redoubt Volcano. Okay, in this Anchorage area, with including the Alaska Range and this little cluster right down here, we've got 48 on the map. So this little cluster is at Cape Yakataga. There's a 1.7, 1.5, 1.8, and 1.5. And then here's all the Anchorage, and there's the big one, or the largest one today. And then the others are twos, low twos, and ones range. So we've still got activity. Here's a 2.0 Talkeetna, 2.3 Cantwell, and so forth. And then they're just peppered around. Here's that one at Kobuk that we looked at, that we called out. So there's Alaska. Now coming down into the lower 48. We're starting out in Tennessee with a 1.5 near Sweetwater, Tennessee at 4:01 this morning. Nothing showing up on the New Madrid zone. Now in Oklahoma was a 2.8 near Blanchard at 9:58 last night. Then a 2.6 near Anthony, Kansas at 12:06 this morning. 1.6 near Harper, Kansas at 8:38 last night. Well, there is one here in the New Madrid zone. I don't know how I missed that. 1.7 near Lilburn, Missouri at 3:39 this morning. Coming on into Utah today, we have 4 showing here, 1.7, 1.2, 1.1, and 2.1. And 2 of these are at negative depth. The 2 at East Carbon City, this one that I just called out, is at a -2 kilometers depth. And the first one, the 1.7, was at a -1.5 kilometers depth. So, you know what that means. It's moving up in the chamber. 0.7 at Hiram, Utah at 8:13 this morning. Then we've got a pair at Mollett City, Idaho, a 1.1 at 1:20 this morning, and a 1.1 at 1:23 this morning, so 3 minutes apart. Next, coming up, here's one at Old, actually they're on top of each other. There's 2 at Old Faithful. There's a 1.7 and a 0.8 right there. So small I couldn't see it. And here's a 0.7 near Driggs, Idaho. Oh, it's right down here. Now, moving on up into Montana's a 2.6 near Manhattan, Montana at a -0.3 kilometers depth at 4:13 this morning. Moving on across in the Pacific Northwest, I'm only seeing one here near Carson, Washington at 4:31 this morning. That's all that's being reported. There's probably more, but that's all that's being reported at this point. Coming down into Northern California, here was one just to the east of Redding, a 1.8 near Palo Cedro at 6:37 this morning, and then a 2.1 near Chester at 8:39 this morning. Let's come on down into the Reno area, see what's going on. Let's see. We've got two here. They're calling this near Verdi a 1.4 and a 0.3. And this one, they're calling it near Truckee. It's up in the mountains northwest of Lake Tahoe, northwest of Kings Beach. It's a 1.2 at 5:53 this morning. So we got those. Over here, here are two more. 0 at Truckee and a minus 0.3 at Downeyville. Both of these are at 0 kilometers depth. So very shallow with that little low reading there. Next, we've got two that are east of Fernley, a 1.2 and another 1.2. So again, they're coming in pairs. Coming on down. Got a little itty bitty one. They're calling it near Bridgeport, but it's in Nevada, 0.8. Here's a 1.3 near Hawthorne. It's very quiet down here. 1.2 near Goldfield, and there's a 0.9 near Goldfield. So that swarm has calmed down. Then we've just got some little tiny ones in southern Nevada. Then here's a larger one, a 1.3 near Alamo. So that's all of Nevada. Let's get this east side of California now. Here's a 1.4 and a 1.5 and a 0.4. So these are small, but they count. Here's Mono Lake, nothing down there. Well, we've got definitely activity here at Mammoth Lakes. We've got 25 here today. And you just thought it was going to be quiet. So we've got microquakes. We've got a minus 0.2, that's a microquake. Here's a 1.0 right here. This is clustering, and this is at 0 kilometers depth. 0.5, 0 kilometers depth, and so on. These are very, very small. Very small. Like they're under 1. And here's another 0 magnitude. Here's a 0.8, 0.6, and so forth. So all of these are pretty small until you get over here to this cluster, and these are in the ones. That's 1.1, 1.1, 0.7, 0.4, and so forth. So a couple of these were at negative depth. This 0.2 at Mammoth Lakes, I can't even see it. Oh, right here was at a minus 1.6 kilometers deep. And this 1.1 over here was a minus 0.5 kilometers deep. Here's a 1.1 at a minus 0.2 kilometers deep. Here's a, these are more minuses, 0.3 at a minus 0.6 kilometers deep. Here's a 0.1 magnitude at minus 0.3 kilometers deep, and so on. So we got 25 here. So we've got a lot going on. We've got this cluster down here, and then we've got this grouping here over west of Lake Collie. Then we've got these little ones peppered around. I already called those out. Yeah. Then moving on down, 1.2 and 0.3. They're calling these at Tom's Place, and a 1.1. Those are all part of this mammoth area. So that's something's cooking down there. They're cooking with gas. Here's a 0.1 near Beatty, but it's in California. Here we have Coso Junction. We've got 3 here, a 1.8, 1.1, and a 0.8. So that's calmed down since the last few days. And here we have a 2.4 magnitude quarry blast near Primm, Nevada at 3:57 this afternoon at a minus 1.1 kilometers depth. See, the earthquake makers are back at work, and I see 2 more blasts here. Here's a 1.5 magnitude quarry blast near Boren at 4:32 this afternoon, 0.3 kilometers depth, and a 1.0 magnitude quarry blast near Tehachapi at 11:19 this morning at a minus 1 kilometers depth. So they didn't go away, they're back. Down in Baja was a 2.3 near Progreso at 7:15 last night. Here's one in the water, 1.6 near Coronado at 2:58 this morning. So, how many are in Southern California today? Let's see, only 26. That's not very many. That's not very many at all. And let's see if any of these are 2.5 magnitude or higher. No, they're not. So these are all under 2, 2.5. Here's a 2.0 at Loma Linda, and so on. So there's Southern California. Now we're going to move up this west side, 1.7 near Tehachapi. Now this is the red line is the San Andreas fault line, and 1.0 at Parkfield, 2.2 at Pinnacles. Here's a 0.8 at Gilroy, and a 1.9 at Gilroy. Now coming into the San Francisco area was 1.7 near Sonul, 1.4 near Dublin. And the little ones count because little ones can lead to bigger ones. Here's a 1.1 near Berkeley. And then here's the geysers, and there's 25 here today. And here's a 1.0 at a negative 0.4 kilometers depth. This Anderson Springs, but it's all part of the same. So normally we don't see them at a negative depth down here, but occasionally we do, and I take high interest in negative depth earthquakes. I'm highly interested in those. And here's a 2.3 that looks like it's the biggest. So there's that. Now let's see what might have come in. while we were doing our recording here. We've seen those. We saw that one, the 4.6 near Nasan, China at 104. Yeah, we saw that. So I think that's a wrap for our earthquakes. So I'd like to just talk to everyone a little bit about what's going on in the world and how much darker it is getting. And the reason I'm doing these earthquake reports is, and all the other reporting on the climate and the methane and abrupt climate change and everything, is to show how close we are in these end days and in these end times. And the reason I added earthquakes to my reporting was, well, God wanted me to. God asked for me to do it, because in the end times, one of the big signs that we're right at the end is the earthquakes will pick up in number and magnitude all around the planet, and it will be the pulse. The earthquakes are the pulse of Mother Earth, and Jesus said in the Bible that there would be earthquakes in diverse places, and so that means there will be earthquakes in places that we're not used to seeing them. And he said there were other signs too at the end, but that was one of the signs. And so this is why I'm diligently reporting on earthquakes, and if I don't do anything else, I will try and do a daily earthquake report and give a spiritual message. And if people have not realized that we are in a spiritual battle, you know, I don't know what rock you've been hiding under, because it's all playing out and it's getting darker day by day. You can see it in the political arena, you can see it in the economic arena, you can see it socially, you can see it how people are just losing it, and they're not thinking straight, and they don't have any discernment, and they say one thing and then do something else, and it's pretty frightening. It's pretty frightening to see this and to see everything unraveling as we get closer and closer to the end. And it is a battle, and it is playing out down here in 3D, and it's a battle for the souls, and it's a battle of good against evil, but beyond that, it's a battle of Satan against God and Jesus. And if you don't believe that, just look at the headlines and look at what happened with the shootings recently. You know, it is a battle of Satan against God and Jesus. And so, you know, if Christianity, if there wasn't anything to Christianity and the message of Christ, why is it so hated by the Muslims and the others? And I'll probably get dinged for saying that. But what's the big deal? You know, if there's nothing to it, then what's the big battle about? So it makes me see even more that there's got to be something to it. And I mean, I've been a believer for a long time, but not always. I haven't always been a believer, but I'm a faithful believer now. And so, you know, just because you weren't brought up that way doesn't mean you can't open your mind and open your heart to see what's there. And, you know, give it a try. That's all I'm saying. You might get surprised. And in these dark times, we need strength. We need inner strength, and we can get that through prayer. And, you know, if you're new to this, you don't know how to pray, but it doesn't have to be anything formal or fancy. You just go to God sincerely and with an open heart. Go to Jesus sincerely with an open heart. And you don't know what to read because there's so much corrupted information out there and false information. And the Bible is still good, even though it's been altered. It's still the best book that I found, that you can find verses of comfort and direction and Jesus' words. And you have to use your discernment. Definitely use your discernment and see what speaks to you in the Bible. And to close out my show today, I'd like to share a verse of strength from the Bible. And this is from Psalms 91. This is King James Version. And this is just so that you can be renewed. And some of the Psalms are like prayers. Some are just good reading. And so the Psalms are good. The Proverbs are good. And then the New Testament, especially where if you get a version of the Bible where Jesus' words are in red, all of Jesus' words are good. And the main thing is you need to get on a path with Jesus, because He is the one that can guide you and protect you. And He is the only one. Seriously. Buddha can't do it. Buddha can't. And, you know, these others can't. Jesus is the only one. So, now I'm going to read Psalms 91 and we'll end it for today. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder. The young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and shew him my salvation. So until next time, God bless everyone. Go in peace, and goodbye.